Good morning, everybody. Chase Urick here at the Equita Home Office. I appreciate everybody jumping on the call. We have Steve Ramsey and Michelle Schultz from United Home Life on the call. We're excited about this call because it's been long overdue on our part, and to get them on the call to kind of open things up, kind of go over maybe what you know, what you don't know, and let you have an open forum to be able to ask some questions, get a little bit more familiar with what a fantastic product that they have at United Home Life. You've heard us talk about it for the past few months, hot and heavy. They've got a message they're going to share with you guys, give you some updates, go over a few. And so without further ado, I'm going to open up Steve and Michelle and welcome them on the call. Are you guys there?
We are, Chase.
Good morning.
Awesome.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thanks for taking the time. I know you guys are busy over there at the home office at United Home Life, and we really appreciate you taking the time to jump on the call today.
Yep, not a problem, Chase. Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to be able to do a conference call with all of you this morning. I am Steve Ramsey. I'm the director of the marketing for the independent distribution channel, and I'm joined by Michelle Schultz, who is our manager of underwriting. And I'm going to give you kind of, and I think as Chase mentioned, we want this to be very interactive. So if you have questions, I think Chase has got a way you guys can ask questions, and then we'll open a line up for you to do that, because I think now is a good opportunity, especially with Michelle here and myself. Hopefully we can answer about any question that can come our way. I'm going to give you a quick overview of UHL for those of you that have heard it or have not. UHL has been in the life insurance business since 1948, consistently in the simplified issue business, non-medical simplified issue for over 2 decades. We like to think of ourselves as experts in the simplified issue marketplace, and of course I'm biased with that, but I think if you look at our material, those of you that have written some of our apps, we really have some expertise in the SI marketplace. In 1997, UHL was purchased by United Farm Family and United Farm Family Mutual. That essentially is Indiana Farm Bureau. So we are a company within the Indiana Farm Bureau insurance group of companies, which has been a great marriage, as I call it. We provide life revenue growth outside of the state of Indiana. Indiana Farm Bureau is strictly an Indiana company and writes business distributor. So we're in 46 states plus the District of Columbia, and what we write, as I said before, is non-medical simplified issue life insurance, and we market through independent agents and IMOs such as Equita Final Expense Services. In fact, we have a long-standing, great relationship with Chase and the Equita team. So you are definitely with a great organization. So hopefully some more information I can give you today, and Michelle can give you today, can earn more of your business. UHL is an A-minus company. UFFL is an A company. We co-brand our companies. We're UHL in most states. In a few states, we are marketing through United Farm Family Life. Same product, basically. I mean, essentially the same company, just different company name on the application. Over $2 billion of assets, over $20 billion of in-force between the two companies. So we are solid. Obviously we're a Farm Bureau organization, and for those of you that know anything about Farm Bureau, they are rock solid. Very, very solid organization. We've spent many years building these products in our systems. The past 12 years, I know I've been here 12 years. These products for the agents, for the customers, trying to help you do business and make it simpler for you to do business. Like I say, simple's our theme. We have a final expense app, guaranteed issue, all the way to we go from a non-insured with a guaranteed issue product all the way up to a standard preferred client. On one app, we'll do guaranteed issue all the way to a table 4. If you do have a standard preferred client, you can write a separate provider, what we call provider whole life app. But essentially we cover any health condition for your client. Insulin-dependent diabetics can obtain day one coverage with us through our Express Issue Whole Life product, or Express Issue Deluxe Whole Life product. And we are coming out with a term product. In fact, let me back up a minute. We have a very simple portfolio where we use a whole life simplified issue product series, and we also have a term simplified issue product series. The whole life series is composed, as I mentioned, guaranteed issue all the way up to a standard via our provider whole life app. Our term series, we have a 20-year term, Table 4, a 30-year term, what's called a Table 4, and a 20-year term return of premium. We are introducing, it's slated to go out November 15th, a table, what's called a Table 8 term product. So it's a 20-year Table 8 term product, which will be essentially be able to accommodate those clients that may be insulin-dependent diabetic or couldn't otherwise qualify for a Table 4 term product. So it's an alternative to the Express Issue Deluxe Table 8 product. So look for that soon, and that essentially is our portfolio. And we like to say we cover anybody, and we do it on a simplified issue, non-medical basis. No blood, no urine, no home office specimen. We try to keep things simple. We'll go down to face amounts down to $2,000 on our Express Issue Whole Life, our 2-year graded benefit product. We'll do down to $5,000 of face on our Deluxe and our Premier product. We'll go up to $100,000 on Premier, up to $50,000 on Deluxe, $25,000 on our graded benefit EIWL. One of our strengths, I'd like to tell a lot of carriers change the comp on a graded benefit product. We do not. So you're going to get paid the same commission whether you write an immediate death benefit Table 4 product or you write our graded benefit product on our EIWL. Now, guaranteed issue obviously is going to be a little bit lower comp. It's a little different animal. We do EAP for final expense. So anybody that's familiar, we've got a year under our belt now with iPipeline's EAP, and all 4 of our what I call our final expense product, our 4-in-1 app, which covers GIWL, EIWL, Deluxe Whole Life, and Premier Whole Life, is all on an EAP system through iGo EAP, and it is fabulous. We're having great success with that. So for those of you that are so inclined, and those of you that even aren't, I encourage you to use EAP. It is we're looking at 35% utilization of all the apps coming in are coming in on our EAP system now. So you're getting paid faster. It's getting processed faster, fewer errors. It's dynamite. Mobile quoting, we have all the bells and whistles. I'm not going to go into all the details, but our website has got about anything you want. Pending information, commission information, your persistency information, mobile quoting, all of our materials. It's all available on our website, so I encourage you to log into the website and then take a look at that. And incentive trips, we obviously have wonderful incentive trips. I'm sure Chase can attest to that, and maybe some of you on the line have been on some of them. But we do have some wonderful incentive trips with very easy qualifications. About $60,000 of premium is our number now, or $60,000 of commission. There's 2 ways to qualify. I'm not going to get into all the details with that now, but it's a fabulous trip. And obviously we're national. We high ratings, great experience, competitive premiums. I'll stack us up against anybody out there in a final expense marketplace or the simplified issue marketplace. And our EAP, I think, is second to none. It's a proven system, the iGo system, and they continue to modify it and update it. And underwriting is probably the other piece now that I think we do a fabulous job. We've got a simple process. For those of you that have used it before, we use an outside third-party company to do the phone interviews. We require phone interviews on every application except guaranteed issue but you do have to do a phone interview. It's simple. It's they'll do about any translation if you're dealing with Hispanic market or different markets that you want. It's about a 12-minute. We average around 12-minute call on those phone interviews, and I don't know, Michelle, I might let you, if you've got any other input on the process of the phone interview that you might add.
Sure. Love to jump in. Really related to the phone interview, there's a couple different ways to do it. If you're with your client and just getting some basic underwriting or basic information, you can go ahead and call in to IBU and do what we call is a know before you go. That can give you a good idea as to where your applicant may qualify, which product might best suit them. If you do a know before you go, they will do a phone authorization that will allow the interviewer to go ahead and collect some basic information that we get on all of our applications, which is the MIB information and prescription data, that information. So they can go through the interview and ask all the questions, and then they do have access to that additional prescription information, MIB, that they can then, if there's any other questions or any other information that we might need for underwriting, they can go ahead and ask the client when they're on the phone. At the end of the know before you go interview, the interviewer will be able to give the agent a tentative assessment as to how the applicant may qualify based on the information that they have at hand. That will then help you go ahead and know which products, kind of talk about face amount, premium, that kind of thing. You can then go ahead and complete the application and go ahead and send it in to us. If you do the know before you go, we'll just really point out that on the cover memo, there is a question on the second page of that asking you if you have done the phone interview. You will want to indicate that, yes, you have completed the know before you go personal history interview so that we don't then go ahead and order one needlessly. So just be sure to mark that on the agent cover memo. If you don't want to do the know before you go, if you're just talking to your client, want to go ahead and take the application, you can go ahead, take the application, send it in to us. We will then go ahead and order the phone interview, and IBU will go ahead and contact your client to complete that interview. They will just take the questions, record all the information, send it to us. We will then pair that with the underwriting evidence, the prescription information, the MIB, et cetera, and then go ahead and render a decision. So that's kind of, again, really, want to try to do them as efficiently as possible. We do need the underwriting information, but really look to get that through, the means that other, really kind of final expense carriers, same kind of information. They look at the prescriptions, MIB, questions, the phone interview, and make a decision and get that out the door.
And that phone number is on every application, the IBU. It's on the cover memo, as Michelle mentioned. So, trying to think anything else we might have. I think maybe at this point, Chase or everyone on the call, we could open this up to any questions that you might have. That's kind of in a 15-minute spiel of the overview of UHL and the underwriting process. Kind of a new product that we've got coming out. We are working on different things. One thing I didn't mention is we're going to be working on getting our term converted to EAP as well, once again through the IGO EAP process.
Yeah, and I want to jump in real quick, Steve. That was fantastic information from both you and Michelle. I wanted to reiterate a couple of key points that you and I talked about when you were in town, which I think is important to pay attention to, and you guys just touched on a couple of them. But level commissions. Your commission does not change for the agent. It does not change depending upon which product you go with in the SIWL. So when you go simplified issue whole life, it doesn't matter if it's the deluxe or whatever, your commission is going to remain level. I think that's important. I also urge each and every one of you, if you have a question, hit *2 on your line. We'll get you unmuted, and this is the part of the call where we'll get interactive. If you ever had a question or something you don't know about, you want to get more familiar, you can get interactive. But one other thing that I think is important to pay attention to that maybe you never noticed it before, maybe you never took a look, but the rates are ultra competitive. I think that your rates are, that's one thing that you guys don't get talked about enough is, are you the cheapest product out there? No. But are you competitive? You are ultra competitive. When I did a breakdown after we had met, once again, just looking at it, you guys are right there with all of the big players in the business, and you beat them in a lot of scenarios. With the underwriting being as fair as it is, with a very simple application, and guys, it's so simple. I've done a few of them myself, and I've had no problems with the process. I actually shared a story with Steve when he was in town about a policy that I had written. I won't go into all the details now, but a lot of times because of a medication or because of a health condition, you're going to get scared away. You have such a great opportunity with their phone interview process, which I know some of you on the call are, I don't like phone interviews, but a lot of you love them because you know before you go. Their phone interview process, that one thing Steve and I talked about was the flexibility. The flexibility to be on that call and have someone that you can talk to. It's not just, standard procedure to go through this. You're not allowed to talk. Don't ask any questions. You can get interactive with the phone interview person. And it's so much more flexible, and there's room to move there. I thought that was important. And the big item that they announced a few months back that we passed to you guys was, and we were fired up about it, which is pay on issue. You're able to get a level commission. They have great rates. You have a very simple application with a phone interview process that's very simple, and then also you get paid on issue. It seems like a winning combo right there, and we're excited about that. And today's call was really just to really raise awareness to you guys. Hey, did you know about this? Did you know you had this in your bag and that it fits in a lot more scenarios than maybe what you originally had thought about? So once again, we're about to start opening up lines. We've got hands already raised, and I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. So if you do have a question or comment, you can hit *2, and we'll get you opened up.
Chase. Yeah, I agree, Chase. I neglected, and one thing I'd point out, the competitive premiums, we do have a piece. You can find it on our website. You can contact me, you can contact Chase, but there is a piece that puts out there. We compare our UHL, our premier whole life product, with a lot of our carriers. And the pay at issue, we call it pay at approval. It's the one thing I can't believe I forgot that, Chase. That is something that's new and hot right now. I know some competitors do that, but we actually can do that, and it is something to definitely keep in mind. So if you have to post-date a policy or select a date in the future, say you don't want the draft to occur until the 15th and you wrote it today, if it gets approved today, it's going to get commission's going to get released tonight. So we call that a pay at approval or pay at issue, and it is very swift.
Very quick turnaround on the pay too, from what we've seen. So without further ado, let's get some lines unmuted here. We've got questions. First, and I know he raised his hand about 6 minutes into the call, Mr. Josh Jones. Josh, go ahead. Your line is unmuted.
Thanks. Yeah, I've got a couple questions. I really like this product. I haven't used it much, but the more I look at it, the more interested I am. So I do have a few questions. A couple just, I guess, administrative. The contracting time has taken a little bit of time right now. I guess you guys are backed up with that. But I was told that if, an agent that hasn't got the contracting through yet calls in and does a point of sale, that'll bump them to the front of the line. But what do they say is their writing number? Do they need to give that? What would they say if they called in and they're not currently contracted?
If you call our contact, I agree with you, Josh, and thank you for the question, because that's my purview. I know Michelle's looking at me going, aha, that's your question. The contracting team, we are getting a lot of contracting work. We've had some staff adds and deletions that obviously doesn't matter to you guys, but it is taking. We're making headway on that. But you answered your own question by saying yes. If you do have an application that the agent wants to write, they can go ahead and do that. What I suggest they do is contact our team, contact the contracting area. UHLcontracting.com is or UHLcontracting@UnitedHomeLife.com is the email account. Call me, Josh, if you need to. We can get those set up, but we do process anything that's got business, and we're going to move those to the front of the stack because unfortunately, a lot of our contracts, as you can imagine, get hung up, and we put them on. Take a lot of time putting them on, and no business comes in. So we like to give preference to those that are writing.
And so if somebody does write a piece of business, do they just not do a phone interview, send that in, and then you guys call them back, or can they do the phone interview right then And if so, what do they say? Because they don't have a writing number yet.
I think they can go ahead and do that. That's a great question. I'm not sure I know the answer. I think they go ahead and write the case, and we'll match it up when it comes in here. But I tell you, it's just.
Well, that's what I need to know. I mean, I've got agents that have literally written business, but they don't know what to do with it. They don't know if they should send it in, if they should do the phone interview. Do they need to wait for a writing number? So that's kind of what I need to know.
Before this phone call is over, I'm going to have you an answer. I'm going to text somebody and get an answer, and I'll come back online with that answer.
Okay. Well, don't get off yet. I got a few more questions.
Okay, keep going.
Okay.
No.
All right, more meat and potato stuff. I get the idea. The Premier is the preferred, the Deluxe, and so if they answer all the questions no, they get the preferred, the Premier. The Deluxe is standard, so if they answer, one question no in that last section, or can they answer all the questions no in the last section?
No, if you have to answer no, if you have to answer yes in any section on the application, you're gonna fall back to the previous section.
Well,
so
some applications you're allowed to, so on Section C, if they answer yes to any of those questions, it automatically bumps them to Deluxe, correct?
To Deluxe, correct.
Okay, but what if they answer 2 questions yes in Part C?
You're still bumped to Deluxe. Yeah, you're still bumped back to any yes.
Answer. Okay, all right. So they can answer them all yes in Part C and still get Deluxe. All right. And so if they answer questions yes and Part B, then it bumps them to express issue whole life. I guess that's the graded. Now, is that the 1224 ROP?
Yes, the graded benefit is it's a 2-year grade, 12% return of premium plus 12% interest. First year, 24% interest. Second year.
Okay, and so then what's the difference with the true graded or the true guaranteed issue? How does that pay out? Is it 10%?
The true guaranteed issue is actually a 3-year. It's a true guaranteed issue. No health questions whatsoever.
It's a 3-year?
And it's a 3-year grade, and it's a 6, 12, and 18 with return to premium. So yeah, it's got a 3-year grade. No questions.
Okay. Do you guys have a prescription guide?
Michelle, I'll let you answer that one.
No, we really don't, and really the reason why is because a prescription can be used for multiple conditions, multiple impairments, and also as new medications come out, as they take a medication and they change it to a generic brand name. I mean, you can have multiple medications or a medication with multiple brand names, so it's really hard to keep that updated with all the changes, and then a single medication being used for multiple reasons. Even if we kind of list the reasons, I mean, doctors will prescribe things, off-label, so no, we don't have a prescription guide.
Okay, and so, I mean, when we run into, somebody's taking, Lasix and lisinopril, but they don't have congestive heart failure, do they just need to explain that to the interviewer? Because, I mean, obviously they're going to ask, right?
Typically, yes. We do have the prescription information. If there's something like that, yes, they will ask. The diagnosis, the reason that they are taking those. There are some combinations of medications that do suggest either a congestive heart failure or like a kidney nephropathy, something related to kidneys. So, if somebody's on 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 cardiac meds, and they say, well, all of those are for hypertension, we may need, more information such as medical records if it's something like that. But again, if it's, a med or two and they are for hypertension, then, we would accept that.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll tell you, if you guys could in the future come out with a prescription guide, I know it's difficult, but most carriers do have it, and it helps our agents, and even if you just say, if they're taking it for this, or if it's a combination of this and this, then it's a decline, that would be helpful, but I understand. Now, The product goes down to age 20, is that correct?
Correct. Or age 20, but now we're not at age 0 on a provider, but our simplified issue products go down to age 20. 20,
Is that
25.
included the graded, the guaranteed issue?
graded benefit is 25. The immediate death benefits are the minimum age is 20. But the graded benefit goes to 25, which is competition usually takes a graded benefit. I think their minimum age is around 40 or 45. A lot of competition.
Right. Well, that's good to know.
California does do 45. I think California is the one state that doesn't let you write below the graded benefit below 25 or 45.
Gotta love the government getting in the way. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I don't know anything about provider. I assume that's not a know before you go type thing.
I mean, we do the phone interview. No, it really doesn't, work as well for the provider. But we do the phone interview, and we still get the same information as far as, MIB and prescriptions.
Okay. And, that's a different application, a separate application, right?
Correct.
Okay. And that's just more, what is that, like, is that table 0, table 2 stuff? What is that?
Really we say no rateable conditions, so it really is standard. We do have some guidelines to consider for preferred, but we would say, no rateable, medical history, no rateable conditions.
Yeah, it's a little longer app, Josh, but it's still non-medical. I think you use the term fully underwritten sometimes, but it's still it's still a non-med app.
Okay.
There's no blood, no urine.
I guess that's all the questions I have, except for the one about the do the telephone interview or not. So if you get back to me on that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I got a response back from Mary Holtgrave, who heads up our agent contracting, and she was like me. She doesn't think an agent number is required, and she also said you technically don't have to do the phone interview to take the app. You can do it after the fact, but you're saying if you do the phone interview and you tell IBU you're an agent, I don't think they need an agent code to do the phone interview.
I think they will ask for it, and I can't remember if they've asked, maybe for the last 4 digits of social. If your name is, Josh Jones, there might be more than one of those, licensed in our system. So that's the only thing I'm trying to clarify is if maybe they'll get some kind of, information like that so that we do make sure we get it matched up to the right person.
Right. I don't mind them having to say something like, oh, it's pending, or, here's my social, but I just don't want them to sound kind of like a moron in front of the client saying, I don't know what's going on here, because it just doesn't look professional. But I would want my agents to be there when the phone interview is happening. I don't want ever to have that happen later.
I agree.
So
I agree with that one.
Sure.
Yep,
So,
I'm going to get more information, Josh, and I will get you an answer, more clear answer on how that process should work. It's a great question. It really is a great question, especially with our contracting team being behind on getting agent numbers out. So, good question.
And that's what I've heard IBU do is say, okay, you're pending, what's your social security number? But I don't know if it's full, if it's the last 4 digits, so I do think they have some information.
Somebody else just posted up a question. It's a no before you go. So is that a 100% thing? Do you guys ever reverse a PHI decision after the fact?
It's a tentative decision. So, there are scenarios where we get additional information. We get the application in, where they don't have all the information off the app. So they take the information, they give a tentative, and yes, in theory, it could require additional questions from underwriting. But like I said, they do collect the information as far as prescriptions and MIB. If we get an application and where we have questions answered yes, if we get something in where someone is signing as power of attorney, things like that we say, we're going to need more information about that, and the interviewer would not have known.
It's a very small percent. Yeah. It's a very small percent, and I want to add on there that, a lot of times the background check is not being done right now at the point of sale or at the IBU when the phone interview is done. And so sometimes there could be something that's discovered later on a background check, in particular with mail. We do a lot of background checks. The underwriters do a lot of background checks on mail. So they like to discriminate against me and you.
Every chance we get.
Okay, well, I will keep that in mind. So you guys aren't pulling the MIB and prescription records right then, or what other background check are you pulling?
Yeah, when I say background check, I'm meaning like felony Basically, that's what it is. It's a felony check that they're doing, and that's why I say they're discriminating against males because we do.
Okay. So I assume you guys
but they do MIB and RX. All that's done at the point of sale with the phone interview. IBU does that while they're on the phone with the client.
Okay, so you guys have a question that says in the past 10 years have you been convicted of a felony? So you guys pull that up after the fact. So we really need to really make sure that they haven't had a felony before we.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right. I think that's it for me, guys. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, Josh. I'll get back to you soon.
Thank you, Josh. We appreciate you jumping on. Those were some very good questions. And we have another hand raised. I believe this is Mr. John Redden. John, your line's unmuted.
Hi. Thank you for taking the call. I just want to say that I love United Home Life. I think they're a great company. I just want to make a comment about the Provider Whole Life product. I've written the Provider. I love it. I just want to make a comment. They interview by underwriters does not actually do a MIB and a prescription check for the Provider Whole Life product. You still do a PHI, but then because it's fully underwritten, that'll be taken care of afterwards. Is that correct?
That is correct. We still do the PHI. They ask the full medical questions. We do get the MIB and the prescriptions, and then we pair them up for an underwriter to review.
Okay. And just one thing that I like about the Provider Whole Life product, and I don't think it's inappropriate to bring up another carrier, but there's another carrier in the industry that brags that they have the lowest premiums for healthy people, like for horses, people that are healthy as a horse.
Yep.
Well, that carrier, actually, the Provider Whole Life product always beats it by a hair, always beats it. And also the interview by underwriters, they're open like right up till 11 o'clock at night, Saturdays, Sundays, and I love that too. Okay,
that's good to hear, John. Appreciate that.
That other carrier is actually closed at 5 p.m. on a Friday, doesn't open again until Monday. But a question I had about the Provider Whole Life product. If we're writing juveniles and they want a limited pay product, like they only want to pay on it for, say, 20 years, do you guys have anything like that?
We do not. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I wish we did. We have talked about that, John. It's kind of like a premium deposit fund rider where you could dump in a certain amount, it would pay the premium for 10 years or 15 years. But no, unfortunately, it's a annual pay. We have nothing to support that at this point in time.
Okay, I was just curious about the future. That's all, and that's really my only question. So thank you very much, and I love the Express issue as well as the Provider. They're great products.
Okay, thanks, John.
Thank you, John, and I'll kind of make this last call. If anybody has any questions or comments they want to throw out there, you can hit *2, get interactive, and we'll get your line unmuted. While we're waiting on hands to come up and see if we have anybody that has any other questions, I want to go back to something that Josh and Steve had mentioned a moment ago with Michelle in regards to underwriting. I had mentioned earlier a few bullet points that I thought were important that you should take a look at in terms of the level commission, the competitive rates, a simple app, and the pay-on issue, which are all great things. I also think that in terms of a lot of times we've had conversations, all of you on the phone, about there's not a prescription drug guide. There's not a hit list to pay attention to. So our recommendation has been use the prescription drug guide from the other carriers that you work with and use that and use your best judgment when you're in a home. One thing that I think that was just mentioned a moment ago that is huge, and I may be overstating this, but I find it important, is that they don't want to follow just a list. United Home Life wants to, and Michelle said it, and it just rang with me, was, there's combinations sometimes where it looks, the perception is they're taking the medication for this, but that's not always the case. Guys, I think that's important. You have an insurance company here that is acknowledging the fact that, which a lot of you on this call, if I unmuted Bill Miller, if I unmuted Ryan Bird, if I unmuted Joel Shackett, John, all of the top producers that are on the call, you all have run into a scenario where you had a client that was taking a medication but not for what they were declined for or what they were graded for. So, I think that's a big point that was made that kind of got me fired up was, hey, look, we understand that not all of these combinations or all of these medications mean that this is what's wrong with the client. We're going to do our due diligence. We're going to do our fact finding. We're going to run MIB. We're going to run script check. We're going to take a look at the entire application, the entire potential client before we make a final judgment on it. I think that's huge. I think that's big for you guys, and that kind of excites me when I heard that. So I just wanted to throw kudos out there to you guys, both you, Steve, and Michelle, for throwing that out there, because that's something that I think kind of gets lost in translation sometimes, and is the ability to have a conversation with somebody, to have, hey, look, this isn't what it is perceived to be. They're taking it for this. It's not CHF. The person's taking gabapentin, but they're not, an insulin-dependent diabetic or whatever the health condition may be. They had, a neck surgery or back surgery, whatever the scenario may be. So I appreciate that. It doesn't look like we have any other questions. We don't have any other hands raised. So, Steve, Michelle, thank you very much for taking the time to be on our call today. You guys did a great job, and I appreciate each and every one of our producers that have jumped on the call today. We had a big turnout, and I appreciate, once again, UHL jumping on today. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chase. Thank you, everybody.
For the opportunity. We appreciate it.
Thank you. If you guys need anything today, give us a call, 800-765-0711. If there's anything we can help you with, we're here. And I hope you guys have a great day, a fantastic day, and a super productive day. Thanks, guys.